And now they're trying to institute a thing where we have random testing of every student in school throughout this country. You realize how much money is involved in this thing? And that's money that's going for testing, drug testing, not going to educate our kids. It's going to embarrass our kids and make our kids think, what the hell do you think we're doing out here? You don't trust us, even though we haven't given you any reason not to trust us. But everything's going exactly the way that Kevin has portrayed it, I think, in school. It's getting worse every day. So,
My name is Heidi Pihl-Buckley, and I think we've pretty much covered the drug stuff, and everybody's got a good grasp of that. But I've worked in juvenile justice since 1982, and there's just a couple of real important issues that I'm hoping people will continue to look at. This is the Cradle to Prison pipeline. This is a very short summary of it. I made 20 copies of it, so I think we'll have enough. Get on their website, the Children's Defense Fund, and you'll just be fascinated. You can click on state by state, and it's everything that you both talked about, everything that's in the movie. A couple of very recent reports that I want to make people aware of as well. First, how many people do you think, one in how many people in this country are locked up in prison? Take a guess.
100.
Yeah, 1 in 100, and that's the name of the report, 1 in 100. So I hope you all get on there, Pew, type in Pew, and look up this report. 1 in 100, white men ages 18 and older, I think these are just such startling statistics, 1 in 106, all men 18 and older, 1 in 54, locked up. Prisons have become big business. We lock up more people than anybody in this world, just what you were saying. So it's just something has to definitely be done about this. Hispanic men ages 18 and older, 1 in 36. Black men ages 18 and older, 1 in 15. Another very important issue, disproportionate minority contact. You have a whole lot greater chance of being incarcerated in our society if you're a minority. For the same exact crime. The same exact crime, and you see examples of it every day on the news. And when I teach this class, and I'm doing it for corrections or for DYS, I always try and think of current stories, stuff I see in the news. And one I always talk about is, we had an incident in Bolton, which is a quiet town around here, probably about 1.5 years ago, and it was 6 boys, white boys, driving in their car. They were all on the wrestling team, and they were following, a kid was jogging in front of them, he was working up, jogging in front of them, they're following behind in their car. Terrible accident occurred, they ran him over. They ran the kid over and he died. Do you think any of them went to prison? No, none of them went to prison. So flip it for a second. If that same exact situation happened in Roxbury, Dorchester, those of you who know the neighborhoods around here, Roxbury, Dorchester, primarily black neighborhoods. If that same exact scenario happened, that you had 5 boys driving in a car and they ran over their friend, chances are I would have seen those kids in DYS. And that's what disproportionate minority contact is. You have a whole lot greater chance of ending up incarcerated in this country if you're a minority. And that's something we definitely need to do something about. So get on here. I have a few copies of it, so if anyone's interested in it, you can certainly take it. But it's just, it shows the rates of incarceration within our society. So that's a very recent report, but one that I think is equally important that just came out on Friday, and it's called Until They Die a Natural Death. Barbara Caven from the Children's Law Center right in Massachusetts wrote this report, and it's about children who are incarcerated in this state. She did just this state. They've got a sentence of life without parole. No chance of getting out. What do you think is the youngest age in this state that you can get a sentence of life without parole? 14. 14. Can you imagine at 14, and there is one boy in here at 14, hearing that? You're incarcerated for the rest of your life. So she talks about the kids in here. That's in this state, you're correct. The other guesses, some of them are younger. We have some states that are even younger than that. Well, in Massachusetts, if you're 13, 14, no, if you're 14, 15, or 16, 14, 15, or 16, and you commit first or second degree murder, you get a mandatory sentence of life without parole, which means the judge has no discretion to say, you're a first offender, you were just there, you didn't actually commit the crime, so you can read the
No,
kid's
it's
specifics.
first degree, you get
Mandatory minimum.
life without parole.
Life without parole.
But second degree, you have parole eligibility in 15 years.
Okay, so read this though, thank you. Read this, they talk about the specific kids in this study. And the ones that trouble me the most reading this are the kids that are the joint venturers, which means they were just there. And one particular case in here is a boy who, he didn't commit the murder, but the adult co-defendant, and that's the other thing she found, is almost all of them had an adult co-defendant. Kids don't go out and commit these crimes usually on their own, although there are some that do. There are some that do. But the adult co-defendants are out. One of you said that the children tend to serve more time than the adults. So if you look in this, the adult co-defendants that pled out are out, and this one particular kid is sitting in prison for the rest of his life, and he didn't even pull the trigger. So it's just the unfairness of the system. It's a fascinating report, so if you just get on in there and type that in, until they die a natural death, and it talks about the specific kids, because I think these are things that we really need to start advocating around. Talk about the war on kids, these types of things that are going on. Because we really believe that so many of our kids wouldn't have ended up in DYS if they had real good representation from attorneys. So we're working with some different schools now, Suffolk Law Center, with this Barbara Caven at the Children's Law Center, and this other one which is called Youth Advocacy Project, another one you can get on. And I'll give, if anyone, I'm sorry, I'm trying to talk so fast. I'll give you my cards if anyone wants them, and I can send you these electronically, or you can just look them up. But the Youth Advocacy Project has made documents for kids, know the law, which is written at a kid-friendly level. Kid-friendly level. So know the law, now that you're involved in juvenile court, and the kids can really understand this. And one of the things that it clearly says is, don't talk to the police until you have somebody there. Kids will spill the beans and say all kinds of stuff. Kids will we know for a fact that kids will confess to things that they never even did. So you have lots of stuff going on that, you know, kids need to make sure that adults are advocating for them. Because we see examples all the time, and one of the biggest ones that well, you're all probably too young to even recall that, but we had the Central Park jogger case years ago where there was a horrific crime where they raped the, she was a stockbroker or something, but
They went on a rampage.
they called it wilding, and that term came out and da-da-da. So they arrested these 6 kids, got them to all confess. They've all been freed since then. DNA evidence. They didn't do it. They never did it, but they confessed. You can get kids to say anything, and we see it over and over. If you have, you know, somebody in there doing the interrogation, so kids need to know what the things are. So get on that one too, the Youth Advocacy Project, and look at their stuff. But all of these things are just such important issues for kids. I'm fortunate, like I said, to work in the juvenile justice field and to be working for, we have a new commissioner in DYS who came in a few years ago. Her name's Jane Tewksbury, and I gotta tell you, it was just so refreshing to have her come in, because when she started with DYS, she said to us all, our goal as an agency is to put ourselves out of business, that we don't have to lock up kids anymore. We have seen, since she came in this state, our numbers have dropped drastically. We're closing down programs, and it's not that we're, you know, these kids aren't getting the resources. We're putting the resources in the community, because it doesn't make a kid better to lock them up with other kids who have committed awful crimes. You try and keep them in the community if at all possible, and you're gonna have a better result. So that's what we're trying to do. So get on those sites, look around, see what's on there, and, you know, there's lots we can do. I really believe that.